So, the Orville is back with the episode Deflectors. Yeah, so, I guess it's not too much of a copyright or a trademark strike to call their shields deflector shields. I guess Star Trek could not claim that word. So, anyway, basically what they're doing is another episode of On the Ship, and hey, I understand because sci-fi shows are expensive. So you got to figure out how to lessen the cost by just making use of a set you've already built. Plus, they made use of a 1945 era set. I don't know where they keep these things, but there it was. It opens up on the holodeck. I mean, the simulator deck, where Commander Kelly breaks up with her boyfriend. Now, there was nothing really leading up to this in the other episodes, not much, but it just suddenly happens because they want to move on, and I don't know. Are they going to get her and Mercer back together? Oh, I hope so! Yeah, whatever. But the real bit of the story is yet another callback to an old Next Generation story. Now, I would caution them on doing this to do so direct a redone script idea, where here they return to the Mocklin Society, and it's a metaphor for societal rejection or acceptance of homosexuality. And they did that in Star Trek The Next Generation with a story in which there was this species that they decided to become a unisex society, so they would deny their male and female selves, and they would all be one entity, if you will, and they all looked alike and everything and all that sort of thing. But one of them felt she couldn't deny her female leanings and fell in love with Riker, and he fell in love with her, and then, but it didn't work. The society said this is condemned, and they brainwashed her into rejecting him, and it was all very sad. Here you have a similar situation where this brilliant Mocklin engineer comes aboard the Orville to test out new deflector shields. And they do, and it works out, and he's a genius and all this sort of thing. But it turns out he was an old boyfriend of Bortus. and whenever they can make use of Bortus and his family, it's always comedy gold. So the guy shows up, has dinner with Bortus and Clyden and their son, Topa. And, of course, this also calls back to things of what happened with Topa, who was going to be a girl, but under their society, no, there's no females anymore. We're all to be male, and so that's what it is. Well, it turns out this engineer, he's attracted to females, but he has to keep it secret. And if he doesn't, he could be executed because it's, really rejected there. So, of course, we later learned that the reason he and Bortus broke up was for that very reason. Bortus actually caught him with a woman, but out of his care for the man, he decided to just keep it secret, and they went their separate ways and all that. And so that was the difficulty between the two of them. And Clyden was playing it up and all this stuff, but he begins to realize what the real problem is, because Lokar is attracted to their new security chief, Kyeli, and she feels the same way. She's immediately checking him out and everything, and so it's pretty obvious where this is going. And Clyden catches all of this and confronts Lokar, and then Lokar is apparently murdered, and so there's a little mystery. But once again, this also calls back to holodeck stories and whatnot on Next Generation. And so when I said I caution them on this, is that it gets to be too much of reproducing what they did. This story goes in a different direction, but it's the same metaphor, and it's the same idea of why can't this guy just live the way he wants to. The Mocklin planet wants to condemn him and possibly execute him. Why couldn't he just go on, could leave? It's a spacefaring society. He could go be with some woman somewhere. But they're all outraged about it, and that's how their society is. Of course, Bortus, he's explaining about what they went through to survive as a species, has made it to this point, even though Bortus himself understands because he protected this man, and it also Kylie confronts him about what happened to his daughter, now son, you know, and he explodes, you know. But it's all, and it's the seriousness of it, and they do perform it well. I'm a little cold to Kylie's performance, the actress playing her. Maybe she'll grow into it. But all in all, the cast is good, and they bring this together, and they're able to tell their story. But on the other hand, I wish they would look for some more original ideas and stories. Of course, they wanted to delve into this question and the metaphor and what have you that Star Trek had always done, and so this show will do it too. But it's not much different. You know, the scenario ends differently. There's a murder mystery here, and there's, you know, all that sort of thing. We don't really see the final fate of Lokar. He's not brainwashed or lobotomized or whatever, but that's how it happens. Now, what saves it, of course, is the back to the performances. Even though Kylie was a little weak, I thought at the end she did well when she ends up having to save Clyden from the murder charge. As it turns out, he was not murdered. And you could pretty much figure this out immediately. I didn't quite know how he pulled it off, but the guy's a super engineer, and he was able to fake his death, which was his plan to just run. And he fixes it to where Clyden looks to be the murderer, but that was just his manipulating the simulator program that set it up and made it look like Clyden had done it. So Kylie saves Clyden from being accused of the crime, and he thanks her for that, but she said, "Go to hell, I don't like you," because if he hadn't have been so bigoted, Lokar wouldn't have been in this position. Lokar, on the other hand, is mad at Kylie and blames on her because she finds him. He's made himself invisible, and he's hiding on the ship and all this stuff, and they search for him. But he comes across as kind of an asshole at the end. Now, you understand his position. It's a bad one and all that, but he takes it out on her to this, all of this, where she says, "Well, look, just declare asylum, and, you know, Captain Mercer will give it to you," which it seemed like the obvious solution. He says, "More hiding? No, I will go home and face them." And it's like, but you just faked your death to escape, so yeah, that's a bit of a problem too. It doesn't quite make sense, and you know, why he reaches that conclusion, and when your whole plan was to fake your death, blame it on Clyden, and then escape by hiding. so I don't know. The asylum seemed like the more reasonable conclusion, and then he could have a relationship with Kylie. So there's just some weaknesses here, but overall the performances, I think, save it because, man, it's a fairly good cast, and Bortus is always funny, even when it's very serious and sad too. But they do a good job with it. So this one is 3 out of 5 stars. There's too much of this adapting Star Trek, actual Star Trek episodes, and also the weaknesses within the plot. I don't think the Lokar's solution here quite worked out, and I don't know that he would reject asylum. I think he would have taken the offer. So there you go, and then it leaves you on a nod. Oh, are Kelly and Mercer still a thing? Yeah, they are. As the world turns on Starship Orville, it is a soap opera in space, but then a lot of aspects of Star Trek were, and Orville's no different. This happens on episodic television anyways. There's elements of soap operas wherever you go, so that's the way it works. All right, 3 out of 5 stars for the Orville Deflectors. Yes. All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe? And check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini goodies that have plenty of... Wait, no. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Bye-bye.